pretty straightforward, right? Second half, first play, you have Bears come out. Tight formations, a lot of tight formations by both teams in this game. Run play, stuffed up pretty good. I think this is one where you're happy with it if you're the Vikings. It's a 4-yard gain, 3-yard gain, whatever. I think this is nice by Dalvin Tomlinson, working both 67 and 68. And nice by Pierce, too, up in there. Does get driven back a little bit this time, right? We've highlighted how he's avoided that a couple times. Wanham chases it down from the backside. So, pretty nice play. Ooh. Okay, so they ran quite a few boots, right? They got motion on this play like it's a boot. Vikings don't really, probably overplay the bootleg. I'm interested to look at our linebacker alignment from the other angle because it seemed like they were over to the right pretty far. No, not really. Okay. They get influenced. So all the linebackers get influenced by the motion, and that's really the issue on this play. So they all get influenced by Mooney coming across the formation. Take a false step that way, essentially. And it lets the center get up to Barr. The center, in this case, should be getting up to Kendricks, I think. Or the guard, rather. This guard here should be working up to Eric Kendricks and cutting him off. And this double team is what should be working up to Barr. But you essentially get a double, because the motion influences the linebackers and they're out of position, you essentially get a double team on Barr at the second level, which is not good if you're the Vikings defense, right? That's not what you want. You don't want two offensive linemen blocking Barr. Pierce still almost makes the play against this center. He does a pretty good job working in the backfield, gets a hand on Montgomery. Good job, stiff arm by Montgomery. Pierce, one of his downsides, obviously he's 6 foot tall, so not very tall. He's got short arms too, so I think arm length hurts him a little bit there. Almost gets there. Wanham can't quite get off the block. He gets up to the second level, gets 9-10 yard gain or whatever it was. I guess I was just at the stick, so maybe it was only 6 yards, which isn't as impressive as it kind of looks at first. So Pierce, again, I might need to cut up Michael Pierce into a highlight tape of just him dominating this center in run defense, right? Consistently getting knocked back off of the line of scrimmage, consistently pushing him in the backfield. Really good stuff. Dalvin Tomlinson works past, let's see it from that angle, works past the guard. The guard, it's not a great job by him. Sheldon Richardson, too. Matchup between Sheldon Richardson and the tight end, definitely advantage Richardson, right? He's got way more size than the tight end. He's almost a 300 power player playing edge rusher because he needs to, because the Vikings have no depth at defensive end because of all the injuries and all that stuff. So Fields, now this is a sack that's you just can't take as a quarterback. You got to get this ball off here, right? Play action, deep shot, 2 deep safeties. That corner route looks pretty juicy to me. I don't know. Maybe. Okay, so Dantzler is falling back underneath it. He's probably able to make a play on the ball if he throws it. Once Fields come off of it is when Dantzler comes off of it. So I'm not too worried about that. Linebacker level, linebackers do a great job, fantastic job, all 3 of them getting depth. Cuts off that crosser dig over the middle, whatever you want to call it. I guess it's a deep 15-yard dig or whatever. And then, Peterson plays the flat, but you got to throw this ball to the flat player here if you're Justin Fields. Like, you can't try to... I know he's athletic, right? And that's one of his positives. And he wants to try to make something happen with his legs. But that's a great job by DJ Wanham to corral him, too. So, that's just a sack you can't take if you're Justin Fields. You got to find a way to get the ball out. You have more than enough time to. Nothing really impressive from Wanham. He's against a tight end. He honestly gets walked up pretty good by him until Fields starts to scramble and move outside, and then that gives Wanham the advantage. So from a pass rush perspective, right, from like a technique perspective, nothing really all that interesting from DJ Wanham here. Nothing really great. But obviously, when you are athletic enough to corral Justin Fields in open space, like, that's a plus too. So you still like to see the sack, right? Still good play. So I don't remember what down it is. Oh, it's third down right now. Yeah, so third and forever. Just check it down. Vikings rally and tackle. Boom. Drive over. Got off the field. Nice. Nice work by Dalvin, but gets called back due to this is a block in the back by KJ, I guess. So you could see he gets his hands on the numbers in the back there. Can't do that. Got to just wall him off instead. But I was going to say, really nice job by Cook, being patient, working to the outside, bouncing it over two gaps, really past two blockers, two or three gaps, to get near first down yardage. But block in the back, shot yourself in the foot, right? And that's pretty clearly a block in the back, like, that's a penalty. First down, run play. Don't love the run plays, the draw plays on 1st and 20. I mean, the Bears did this too, like the first drive of the game or whatever, and Mike Zimmer comes out at halftime and is like, we need to run the ball more. We need to be more effective. We ran the ball pretty good. We need to be, we need to keep it up because, that's what sustained our drives, but that's just not the case. Mason Cole gets crushed by Akeem Hicks here, and Akeem Hicks throws Dalvin Cook to the ground down pretty hard. So Cole, working basically heads up on him, just gets... Again, length from Akeem Hicks on that play is what does that. Is what lets him do that. Now, I don't know if Cole is expecting Cook to cut off of him or not. I don't really know because he doesn't really do a whole lot there. And then, right, back-to-back plays. Akeem Hicks wrecking havoc. This one, just bull rush on Cole. Cole can't anchor effectively. Gets driven back into the quarterback. Quinn also gets kind of or whoever that is. That's okay. It's kind of a little late and kind of aggressive for what it was. But not too worried about it. Kirk almost, stays in the pocket. Almost fits it in there to JJ. This would have been a crazy throw. I like the aggression from Kirk. I think, this is second down. Rather than throw it into the flat to KJ Osborne here, right, which is his other option really on the play, rather than do that and get 4 yards, and now you're at 3rd and 13 or whatever you want, like, I'd rather you go deep and try to make something happen, which he very nearly does. Now, maybe, I don't know. It is kind of interesting because you'd probably expect Robot Kirk to like check this down to KJ Osborne once he sees this corner fall off. This is basically just a Smash concept where you've got a deep corner and you've got a flat route underneath. It's very similar to a Smash concept. And the idea with the Smash concept is a high-low on this corner. So if this corner gets depth, you throw underneath of him. And if he comes up in the flat here to try to defend that, you throw it over top of him to the corner route. In this case, I guess he does stick to the flat a little bit, right? So he gets depth initially, but then he reads the flat, sticks to it, and that's kind of when Kirk makes his decision. But really good job getting the hand up there. I think that was Thomas. That was 27 again. Thomas Graham or whatever his name was. Really nice game from him. Okay, this is that same run play they ran earlier to a lot of success. This time it's third down and forever, so you don't love it. And man, that whoever that was read that like a book, man. This is like the run game equivalent of a screenplay. It's kind of weird, right? You've got nobody there, so you run the offensive lineman up the field. You try to get everybody blocking, and they might have something kind of nice, but good job by 99. Gibson, I don't know who that is. It's not Deshaun Gibson, who's like a safety. Good job by him, recognizing it, forcing the cutback. Oh, did they get a penalty on that? Shit, that's right. Oh, yeah. Okay. This one, I mean, this is a rough call to me. So I understand the rule, right? The rule is if you are a defensive back, you cannot go low on an offensive lineman outside the tackle box because of the risk for knee injuries, right? It's kind of a player safety thing. You don't want to be tearing offensive lineman's ACL. In this case, he's kind of trying to make the tackle. Which it's kind of also tripping a little bit. But when he's trying to go through a player to make a tackle rather than take on a block that way, I don't really understand the application of the rule in that scenario. From textbook, maybe it is, but it's just a difficult situation. And then we had Kenny Wong Woo in the game. I don't know if that's because we wanted to give Cook a little bit of a breather or what it was, but this is a nice run by him. On the second level even, good job kind of weaving here. So he gets past here, he's weaving away from this defender, and then he sets up the safety here. That's a pretty solid run at the second level. Let's look at the run blocking from the offensive line too, because I think that was pretty nice. Really nice job by Darisaw here at the point of attack. Is that Margus Hunt? Really nice job by Darisaw. And then you have Herndon. I think that's Herndon cutting out, kicking out, cut blocking. Really, I think Darisaw working his guy inside with the pull action does it. And then Conklin too. I mean, Conklin essentially takes out... Well, okay, so Cleveland gets up there. Conklin and Cleveland get in the linebacker level. That was nice. And then another run. This time it's zone. And this is... So I think I'd like to see Wong Woo hit this faster. Obviously, great leg drive and pushes a pile, right? So zone... Cole and Bradbury work up to Ogletree here. These two, Cleveland, Darasaw, need to work up to Roquan. Darasaw, great job getting to the second level against Roquan. Bradbury does enough against 91 Goldman here. 91's Goldman, that makes sense. To like make this, you know, you'd like to see more, but makes it work. Wong Woo has to cut outside a little bit. He probably has more yardage here, right? If Bradbury's able to control Goldman. So that's a decent job by Goldman, but still really well blocked at the second level. Nice leg drive to get downfield, get a bunch of yards after contact. Like, that was kind of fun. And that is the thing with Wong Woo. Despite, you know, how fast he is, he's got some size too, so he can carry guys a little bit. It's nice to see. All right, play action shot. Like, you've got so much space here with JJ. And, ooh, his arm got hit. I wonder who he was trying to throw it to. I think he's trying to check it down. I think, to me, I don't know. I can see where you're concerned about this corner undercutting that. So I think that's an okay no throw. Heck, he's done it a couple times, right? And then the struggle is, but like Dalvin Cook is like blanketed by Roquan here. That's good coverage by the linebacker. But the struggle is Cole against 90 just gets absolutely blown back into him. You know, they talk about guys being put on skates. He loses leverage, gets put on skates. Kirk gets hit a little bit when he's trying to throw. You know, this is not the easiest throw in the world because of 99 falling back and getting his hands up there. But nice throw on the curl by Kirk. Gets it in there to KJ. You know, second down and 10 turns into 3rd and 3. You'll definitely take that on 2nd and long. Just a little bit of like curl flat kind of action. So 3rd down. Counter footwork. So this is counter by the Vikings. Everybody's blocking down. You got Cleveland pulling across. You got Dalvin versus a linebacker. Doesn't work. Hicks. Another nice job on O'Neal, right? Oh, Brandell should be blocking Hicks here. That's part Akeem Hicks. That's part Alec Ogletree. I really think that Brandell wants to get up to the 2nd level. I don't know. Maybe it's because Ogletree's kind of slow to get over that Cleveland kicks out the corner, but normally you wouldn't expect. You'd expect him to wrap up and get to the linebacker level rather than the corner on that kind of block. So I'd be interested to see what the idea is there, because to me, somebody needs to block a goal tree on this play. And then they got, was that the penalty on Nagy or something? He was screaming at the refs. What was it? Unnecessary roughness. Oh, right. That was the one where it was like started a fight. right? So inside here, you can't see it on this angle. 99 doesn't like the way he was blocked to the ground by Stalker here or something. Gets a penalty on him. Nice little cutback by Dalvin. Everybody's blocked down. He's got the edge on the left-hand side. Gets out. Forces Roquan to overcommit. Gets upfield past him. Nice little run. I think they're kind of exchanging here, the linebacker. So Ogletree is running through the front side A gap, I guess in this case, and then Roquan. No, Roquan just reads it well. So the exchange is between 93 and 44, where 93 goes up. Roquan reads it well, gets into the gap. He kind of has two gap. Like, this is kind of, because you got two safeties deep, you're out gapped on the defense, right? You've got 7 guys and there are 8 gaps on the offense, right? There are 7 blockers. So this is a D gap, C gap, B gap, A gap, A gap, B gap, C gap, D gap, right? So you're out gapped because you only have 7 players and you need to get 8 gaps. What they ask him to do is play this B gap to this C gap, which is kind of insane range on this play because you have Hunt. I think that's Marcus Hunt. I should look that up. Playing this A gap. You have him playing this A gap. You have Quinn playing the D gap. You got 55 playing the D gap. And then I think Smith and Hicks are kind of both 2-gapping a little bit, or gap and a half, or whatever you want to call it, where Hicks takes this guy head on rather than going to a specific gap. Technically, on the Vikings blocking scheme, it's Cole's responsibility to get up to Smith and make the play, but with Smith reading the play, that has no shot. That's not something you could reasonably expect him to do. Hicks in the backfield immediately on this play beats Mason Cole pretty bad. Doesn't really have an impact on the play. Dalvin Cook gets up past him. Safety, other player, looks like whoever Darisaw was blocking. Let's go from this angle. 98, Darisaw. Yeah, gets thrown off him. 3-yard gain, it's now what, like 3rd and 1 or something like that? Yeah, 3rd and 2. 3rd and 2. Okay, this touchdown, I mean, they covered it pretty well in the broadcast, I think. But, this is Justin Jefferson in the backfield right here. Massive alert for the defense, right? Like, everybody on the defense is like, hey, make sure you recognize this is Justin Jefferson that they got in the backfield. With Adam Thielen here, they did this, weeks ago where they scored a touchdown on option where, Smith-Marset, where Thielen runs vertical, Justin Jefferson comes out here, he can go left or right, he goes inside. Who was this against? I'm pretty sure they won the game. It was against the Packers. Right, it was the touchdowns against the Packers. So, Jefferson takes the inside wide open, runs in for a touchdown from about this distance, from about the 8-yard line. In this case, it's not an option route. It's an angle route, Texas route, whatever you want to call it. So he's going out, cuts inside, but the Bears just overcommit to it, right? So this guy is the flat player, kind of looks like he's running out to the flat. He's a little bit more aggressive. This guy is who should be carrying Smith-Marset to the outside, but he just doesn't, right? He just lets Smith-Marset walk free, which is a big mistake because Kirk sees it, throws it wide open, rookie touchdown, first touchdown in his career, awesome moment for him. Couldn't be easier. Everybody in the NFL can make this play. Not really anything special from Smith Marset, but hey, awesome for him, right? Extra point good. No kicking issues for the Vikings in this game. That's always a positive, right? I kind of no, no. Okay, he's fully in bounds when he starts contact. Like live with the camera angle, it was kind of hard to tell. I thought maybe this could have been called right, and it was getting pretty chippy at this point. So you're like a little bit concerned that this would have been a late hit out of bounds. But again, DJ Wanham, I think this counts as a sack for him. So this was his third sack. Again, the unfortunate thing is DJ Wanham gets 3 sacks in this game, and none of them are like, how do I say this right away? Like, I would like to see DJ Wanham progress as a pass rusher and win in the pass rush game, right? You'd like to see him beating offensive tackles and getting to the quarterback because he's, winning as a pass rusher. In this game, he gets 3 sacks. None of them are because he won as a pass rusher, right? None of them are really things that I would say project moving forward for him being, a good defensive end in the NFL, unfortunately. They are all due to his great athleticism, right? So his athleticism showing up on tape, and that's making an impact, and that matters too, right? Obviously, this doesn't happen if it's not somebody who has that kind of athleticism. And I mean, look at where he starts here, right? So this is play action. Not really sure how we're playing it, but, he's alert for a screen or something, and really, maybe he's just spying on Fields, right? So he steps, he starts to run through, and he's running all the way across the field as Fields rolls out. Oh, was that an incomplete pass? Never mind. That's not a sack. That's an incomplete pass, I think. Yeah, it was an incomplete pass, and then they got Nagy for the penalty. Is that what happened? Or no. Okay. It was an incomplete pass, and then Tevin Jenkins, right, defending this guy, which I don't blame Tevin Jenkins for this at all. I think that's what you want from your offensive lineman, and he's kind of a chippy guy. But, yeah. Great play by Mac Alexander here. He's a good run defense corner. That's definitely a trait you need in your slot corners. So this wide receiver is supposed to pin him. He's supposed to come up and block him inside and allow this running back to get outside of him. He gets underneath that, gets up at the line of scrimmage, makes the tackle. Well, doesn't quite make the tackle, but great job by Alexander. On the interior. Okay, so this is Montgomery might have a hole up the middle, but Tomlinson and Pierce both squeeze those guys into each other. I don't think he has it once they squeeze their guys. So that's another good job by them. So we have just third and forever. Rally, make the tackle. Don't get beat deep. Harrison Smith's covering that route, so Peterson can come off it, make the tackle, and nobody gets beat deep. We're happy with that, right? Get off the field. 3 and out. This punt was phenomenal. And then, yeah. So they're at the 25, right? So he punts that from the 25-yard line and it lands at the 15. So what is that? 25 plus 35 is 60 yards in the air before the ball lands. You're not expecting that. It is on a line drive, but if it goes over the returner's head, it doesn't matter because it gets your guys the distance to get down there. So maybe, you can't see from this angle, maybe KJ was creeped up on him a little bit too far, and O'Donnell was like, I'm just going to go over his head. You would really like it if KJ catches that ball in the air, right, and doesn't have to run back to the freaking 5-yard line to get the ball. So, yeah, he just misreads it in the air, right, because he's thinking it's going to like the 25 or something like that. Not great. Oh, man. That was such a big hole. He trips over, Cleveland's feet or something. But Dalvin Cook thought he had more than, the 6-7 yards he actually got. Bradbury, nice block on Roquan Smith up to the second level. He was really good at that. Cleveland. So, you'd like the way Goldman plays this immediately, he goes right into Cleveland. Typically you like more from the center, but that's perfectly fine from Bradbury. And then Darisaw with the tight end coming across influences Ogletree wants to run into this gap here, and then he sees the tight end coming across. He runs right into Darisaw, so that's fortunate for the Vikings. And Dalvin just doesn't quite if Dalvin doesn't get tripped up here, okay, there's a safety there for 10 yards, but that's a much bigger gain, right? That's 10-yard gain, and then very next play, oof, is that Bradbury getting worked off the line? Yeah. There haven't been a whole lot of negatives from Bradbury in this game, right? I've been calling out pretty much whenever I see a negative from an offensive lineman. Generally pretty good. 2 negatives so far. The one in the run game where he missed the linebacker, he went to the wrong one, and then this one where he gets driven back. Driven back pretty far, that influences Cook. I think Cook wants to go to the other side of him, but he can't based on that. That means unblocked Ogletree, who... yeah. Just ran around the double team. I think pre-snap, they're expecting to work Cleveland up to Ogletree, and Ogletree just runs around it and cuts the backside. I think if Goldman doesn't get so far into the defensive backfield, Ogletree doesn't make that play because Cook starts more to the right. So I think the Bradbury getting knocked back into the backfield kind of influenced that pretty heavily. This is 3rd down. Kirk pats the ball. Kirk does not get the first down. And this... Did Nagy throw the challenge flag on this play, and then they just decided that him throwing the challenge flag didn't matter, and they just gave it to them? Because, don't get me wrong, Kirk was short. But, it's so... I like the way they've been handling the, they can just overturn things from the booth now really quickly. I do like that as an addition, where they kind of have the eye in the sky, and they could do it. I don't think, to an extent, I understand the frustration for Nagy. I think you don't need to act like a child at the refs. I think that's less likely to get you what you want than the other way around, right? But, I understand the frustration. Making a scene out of it is kind of ridiculous. But, if you're not changing it, and you're not changing it, and you're not changing it, and then all of a sudden he throws the challenge flag, that's a challenge. There should be a window of time to where it's it becomes, you need to have challenged this. And the other thing here was like the lack of communications from the lack of communication from the rest in this game was the problem. I was watching Washington Eagles because this is the game that I got in my area, and like there was a play where they overturned it quickly from the booth, but like the communication from that ref was infinitely better than the communication from these refs. He was announcing what the ruling on the field was, and then if they overturned it quickly, he would announce that they overturned it quickly. Like that's how they need to do it. They need to announce what they initially see or what they initially think, and then they need to clarify what any changes are and just tell us what's happening. Right? That's the thing. Just tell us what's happening so we can understand it rather than kind of leaving us in the dark. It's frustrating. This one, I forget what exactly happened here, but yeah, I mean that's on Blake Lynch and whoever 46 is. I don't know who that is. Great play by Anthony Barr. All right, so you got 4 down linemen, you got Watts and Lynch in the game, and Barr sees the double team. Oh, just runs past. Now, Komet, this is called a fold block, I believe, where a tight end comes in and comes up. It's functionally similar to, just a lead block you'd see from a fullback with CJ Ham. But I don't know what Cole Kmet is doing because he should block Anthony Barr. And 65 should... Like, this is... Unless they are saying, David Montgomery, you have the linebacker in this case, which seems pretty dumb to me. There are run plays designed where you ask a running back to beat a linebacker in the hole, but I don't like those. Unless they are doing that, right? Because the way this is blocked, it seriously looks like 65 and 85 are supposed to be double teaming, Armin Watts up to the linebacker at the second level. But at the same time, your right tackle here comes up and goes to the linebacker at the second level. So something's clearly off. Like, guys don't know what they need to do. That's just bad lack of detail by the offense. Anthony Barr, obviously, nice job to get it up there, skinny past that tight end, make the play, but blown assignment by the offense. Double A gap look. They don't blitz. Okay, Dantzler playing too far off here, right? Worried about deep speed. I mean, look, he sat down on a stop route over 5 yards of separation. That's kind of nuts. It's not what you want from a corner. Not quite a first down, though. Third down 1, run play. Harrison Smith comes up. Okay, he's 6 yards off the ball at the snap, so that's not a whole lot. Comes up, makes a tackle, stops him short. Great play, run defense. And this is at the point where you are... If you're the Bears, I agree with going for it here, right? I know people have said or talked about, or it's been a point of discussion, where if the Bears theoretically had just kicked all of their field goals when they went for it on 4th down and didn't make it, they would have been in, with a chance to tie the game at the end or go-ahead kick at the end. But, it's the end of the third quarter right now, and there's a minute left in the third quarter, you're down by 14 points. You're still down 2 scores if you kick a field goal. Your offense hasn't been doing much all game. So I wouldn't feel good about it at this point if I'm the Bears, good about kicking field goal. You already missed a field goal earlier in the game, right? Now maybe if you hadn't missed that field goal, you kick it, but the willingness to go for it here when you're clearly discombobulated, like David Montgomery came out of the game, and I think they wanted him in the game, and like Darnell Mooney, like I don't know what he's doing. He's not lined up behind Justin Fields even. Like I don't know what the heck is going on here, right? Like what are we doing? You're trying to go up, quick snap it, get somebody in the flat. It's covered perfectly. Kendricks does a nice job here, getting back to the tight end. They do a nice job in the flat on the Mooney or whoever that is, preventing a throw there. And then DJ Wanham gets another sack that doesn't have anything to do with him pass rushing. But no, like they're clearly discombobulated, right? Like it's like they don't practice. I mean, maybe they didn't practice because of all their COVID issues, which you kind of feel bad for them about. But that's DJ Wanham's 3rd sack of the game. Awesome to get that number, but not really due to him pass rushing, which is a little bit unfortunate. Oh boy, what do we got here? So Kirk, Mason Cole again gives up pressure probably. Got to dig over the middle. Yeah, there is not much available. They got Dalvin in the flat. But yeah, with Cole, I mean, part of it is like the level of competition is rough. Like I don't know what it is. Like Akeem Hicks is a really good football player, right? And probably doesn't get as much credit generally as he should. But like he absolutely dominates us. And then Kenny Clark does get the credit as a really good football player. He's probably considered like the best nose tackle in the NFL, but he dominates us, right? The Packers game, Mason Cole, he was at center at that point, got destroyed by Kenny Clark like all game. Which it's rough. But yeah, Hicks is a lot of fun, man. He's a good football player. Now that wasn't Hicks on that play. That was 90. I don't know who that is. But 90 made a couple nice plays here too. Bears seem to have good defensive line depth typically, or maybe we just have bad interior offensive line depth. Maybe it's just it's more the Vikings issue than the Bears being good. Here, man, there's a lot going on there. Another pitch play, I kind of talked about that earlier, about how, it gives you a little bit of an advantage because it widens the defense out, right? And watch how Ogletree plays this. Like, he is running to the outside because of the pitch action. Just kind of get turned around a little bit as an offense. Like, I don't know, like, what Cleveland and Darisaw are doing, honestly. Right? Because you'd expect this to be a double team with 98 up to 58. But Darisaw looks back and goes back to 55. Cleveland turns around and is like, doesn't block anybody. So, that's a little bit confusing there. Cole, I would say Cole does an okay job, but there's something was off with that play on the run blocking. All right, so fourth quarter now. Uh, I don't know, man. Like, Kirk has KJ all the way across the formation here. Like, that is open. So this is kind of similar. It's actually the exact same concept as what they did, where Jefferson got the third down conversion on the drive where he scored the touchdown. I'm pretty sure they had 4x1 in that scenario too, although it was a tight end here rather than Dalvin Cook. But the difference was the Bears showed too high safety in that case, and they had a safety on this side, they had a safety on this side, and that safety came down and took the crosser from KJ. Here, there is nobody to take the crosser from KJ. You would expect maybe a corner falling back here. This corner does not have the capacity to fall back there. He is not running back to come across the formation to get anything vertical coming across the field. That is wide open in the NFL. And he is running away. Now, I understand you want, Justin Jefferson's your guy, and, he's got leverage, right? So this corner has outside leverage. Justin Jefferson has access to the inside. So I don't think from this perspective that, throwing to Jefferson is the wrong decision, right? You would like to see him win. I remember from the broadcast angle that corner absolutely got his hand in front of Jefferson before, his hand is there and restricting Jefferson's hand before the ball gets there, right? So that should be pass interference. Now they called this game pretty loose for the secondary. So to an extent, I understand not calling it, but textbook definition pass interference, that's pass interference to me. And you know what? There's a couple plays where I think that them calling the game loose hindered us on the offense, right? So you've got all these backup corners for the Bears. They need to be aggressive because if they're not aggressive, they're just not going to be able to win. And when you have a really talented player, you got to do something. Cole here, he lets this free runner Kirk. He looks at it and he just doesn't block it. He's looking here and he sees this guy and then he comes back. So I don't know why Cole doesn't get off and block that. I don't think that affects the throw. I don't think that really does too much. But, I first and foremost, I think Kirk should be throwing this ball to KJ Osborne. I know KJ's a clear out route here, but he has so much space. Just throw the ball. Just throw it. You take a hitch, you load up to throw to Justin Jefferson. I understand, it's Justin Jefferson. I'm okay with that decision. But just throw it to KJ, man. It's not the worst decision, but I think you could make a better one. Got lucky on the punt, right? Jesus, what a bad job. But yeah, so a couple things on that last pass play, not the worst decision in the world. One, throwing to Justin Jefferson is good. You could make a better decision by throwing to KJ Osborne. Just like the earlier interception that he threw, I understand where you're coming to the decision. I understand the thought process that gets you there. I would like you to make a different decision. I would like you to do something different. And then, should have been a penalty on the defense. So, should have gotten bailed out with pass interference. Dalvin Cook, running right. So Hicks ends up making this play. To me, that's not on Mason Cole. in this scenario. Because what happens here is Conklin squeezes a guy into Cole. Hicks is able to fall back, and that gets him separation. So that, to me, that's not amazing Cole. And it's not like a bad run play. It's just not a great run play. You know, that's a little bit bodies in there. Because Conklin almost does too well with 43 crossing his face, right? And it messes the play up on the run. Ugh. False start, right? Again, man, it's difficult to be an offensive lineman. Okay, that was honestly way more pronounced than the one that Borum had for the Bears. But now you're on the fringe of field goal range. Now you're kind of out of it right now. But hey, you get back in it, right? Second down, KJ in the flat. Get the ball to him. You know, 3rd and 5, whatever. And then you would like to... What? Okay. Hold on. Where are we? Okay. It was 2nd down. There was a penalty? What was the penalty? Defensive offside. Okay, I forgot about that. That is an interesting one, right? You don't often see a guy lined up. They got an offensive offside on this in this game too, didn't they? It's more often you see a defensive guy lined up offside, so that kind of makes sense. But yeah. So now it's 2nd and 9. The Vikings committed to running the ball. Actually, not a bad run play here, right? So, Cole up to the linebacker, 2nd level. O'Neal does a really nice job washing Hicks down. Roquan, kind of freaky, right? So, I mean, Bradbury 1-on-1. Cleveland and Darisaw are supposed to get up to... Or no, CJ Ham is supposed to block Roquan Smith in this scenario, right? But Roquan does a really good job getting, multiple gaps over, gets past CJ Ham's attempted block, makes the play. You also have the corner there who's there to help cut Dalvin down. But, that's a decent gain. Now it's 3rd and 5. So what happens? Akeem Hicks Mason Cole gets crushed by Akeem Hicks. I think this is the play where Kirk hurt his ribs too, right? He's now on the injury report since apparently, this is absolutely insane. Kirk is on the injury report for the first time since 2013. Like, he hasn't even shown up on an injury report in 8 years as a quarter. Like, that's nuts. That's absolutely wild to me. So this is slants. Okay, so this is 3rd down, right? You're running slants across the board. You have 3 slants, 1, 2, 3. First read is the inside one here. This linebacker is underneath it, can't throw it. Kirk pumps, he kind of wants to throw it. Linebacker's right there, can't do it. Ball should go to JJ, and it's probably a win if he's able to throw it. Although that linebacker does a really good job sliding under both of them. That was Alec Ogletree, who I've kind of dissed a couple times, but it was a really good job by Ogletree. But also, and because these guys are all up on the line of scrimmage, that's why Kirk wants to go to the inside one right away. But with him dropping back right into the spot, And then Mason Cole just, I mean, not even... Like, Jesus. Like, come on, man. You got to do better than that. I will say, you know, actually, he does land on his hands, right? That was one where I kind of thought they could call body weight a little bit, but it's all right. Oh, there was a false start on that one or something. Honestly, probably if you're punting there, probably good that it was a false start because you want a little bit more yardage. Oh, that too, where freaking now he doesn't, but like who is that? Chris Boyd almost suplexes this guy. Uh, like that was looking like it could be a penalty for a hot second there. Oh my god, this one was so. I hate that they called this penalty. Like they didn't blow a whistle dead. What does he? What do they expect James Lynch to do? And like that hit by James Lynch is absolutely no worse than the hit by Akeem Hicks that we just saw, right? That's actually less body weight because you can look, he's like sliding over and only half of his body weight's on there. But like feels like how is he supposed to see that he's taking a knee? Like I don't like that's absolutely insane penalty to me. Like I still can't believe they called that. Like if you're not whistling the play dead, you can't throw a penalty for a late hit in that scenario. Like that's just absolutely ridiculous. So I mean, just a curl under Patrick Peterson kind of makes him miss on the tackle a little bit. Like I don't know. We have not seen much passing outside from the Bears in this game so far. So this is kind of really the first one where they did much of anything in the pass game, honestly. It feels like. I could be wrong on it. I guess they did have the couple bootlegs that they were pretty successful on. But like outside of that, I really feel like up until this point, there has not been a whole lot in the pass game. Again, contested catch. I mean, this is similar to the Justin Jefferson, incompletion earlier, where just dig route, cornerback drives on the ball. Peterson's there half a second after, earlier the cornerback got there first. Both contested catches. Guy hangs onto the ball. You get a first down. Not bad coverage to me by any stretch of the imagination. Just one where offense beat you by a little bit. But it's just been like the theme of the last couple games where those have been successful for the teams we're playing and not for us. So another one, right? Back to back. Contested catch before. Peterson almost gets his hand in there. This one up the seam. That's really good coverage by Eric Kendricks. Whereas, let's say the Conklin, right? Conklin play early in the game. Exact same look, right? Where you had a safety come in over the top, hit him hard. Here, Xavier Woods, doesn't hit him hard, avoids the hit. Smart by Xavier Woods, because if he does hit him, guarantee you they're throwing a flag, right? So, like, they threw a flag on the Bears guy earlier, even though that wasn't a real penalty. But just another contested catch situation the Vikings lose, which, rough. You hate to see it. Okay, Blitz, really nice job picking up the blitz, and let's look at that from that angle. But just another curler out up top, right? So Patrick Peterson, I guess that's 3 catches against him on this drive. Not really too worried about any of them. So delayed blitz, the Vikings are sending Harrison Smith through the B gap. They are sending Anthony Barr as well. I mean, this is just protection call for the Bears. So I think what their hope is that they'll slide to the right with Kendricks creeping up into the gap, and I don't know what the center called or whatever, but they very obviously do not do that. They send 4 guys to the left, so Fields has to answer if Kendricks comes free. But because they send those 4 guys, Bears have 4 guys to pick him up. Fields gets the ball out quick, crawler out, 10 yards, I guess. Marching down the field. Was there a penalty in this play or something weird? Barr just kind of stands up here. Maybe he's spying. Doesn't get underneath it. Quick slant. You'd expect Barr to get underneath that slant is really probably what you'd want on that play. Something different happening. I don't quite know what he's doing, to be honest with you. Roll out. Okay, so this time we don't have DJ Wanham corralling. And this is the Kendricks play. Yep. So DJ Wanham made a bunch of nice tackles on Fields in open space for most of the game. Doesn't quite get there this time. Kendricks, this slide has been beaten to death. It's absolutely a penalty. You got to throw the flag on it. He hits him in the helmet. You're not allowed to do that when a quarterback's sliding, point blank. Ejecting him for this is just ridiculous. It's absurd. He's not launching into it. He's trying to lift himself up above Fields. You can pretty clearly see that. But whatever, man. It is what it is. Great run defense. Michael Pierce again. And Vigil from the edge. And of course, this is the point of the game where you're like, oh no, I've watched this Vikings game way too many times, right? Where this drive, they get 2 penalties that are really rough. And you're like, I've seen this movie too many times. We're going to blow this lead somehow, right? Michael Pierce splits a double team. Look at that. That's really nice. DJ Wanham on the backside. Vigil. So Wanham attacks the gap inside. Vigil scrapes over the top to the outside. That double team the goal of this double team is to work up to Vigil, but because he scrapes over, they don't recognize that and they're not able to adjust, so he gets a free run in the backfield. So good work by both him and Pierce on that play. Barr wants a false start or something. Fields running around. Oh, such a nice play by Patrick Peterson there on the back end to knock this ball out. Now so I don't know if you guys remember earlier who was around or whatever, but I talked about kind of layering your rushes a little bit. Hey, Owl, your mic's on if you're listening in. You're good. But let's see. So Wanham and Dalvin are going upfield here, right? And this is layering your rushes where they need to go upfield, and if they get upfield past them, Fields is going to run up into the pocket, right? But you have Michael Pierce here scraping over and kind of controlling that, which forces Fields out. Now, Pierce doesn't get to him, right? But now you have Harrison Smith and Troy Dye able to rally to try to stop it. That throw by Fields, it's a little bit. So I think on the broadcast they announced it they need to be a little, he should have led him a little bit. That's a really freaking difficult throw to make by Justin Fields. Running to his left, across his body, back the other direction. I don't know how much more you can do than that for Fields, right? Like, yes, I guess if you lead Komet to the other direction, like, it probably is a touchdown, but like, Jesus, that throw is nearly impossible in the first place. So really nice play by Patrick Peterson to undercut that and knock it down. And then here, to me, this is a little bit panicky by Fields in the pocket, right? So here, you see something happen, like you're a little bit concerned with Watts. You don't have anybody open immediately. But now, when you turn into this, when you turn your shoulders all the way upfield, you're in a terrible position to throw the ball. You have to bail. You can't climb up in the pocket, which in this case he doesn't want to. I think, does a good job getting around Wanham. But now you're backpedaling. You're all out of position. Really good coverage in the back of the end zone by the Vikings. Patrick Peterson again gets his hand in there. Actually wins a contested catch situation. So, not bad. Like, don't get me wrong, like, really athletic quarterbacks can do this and get away with it. I'm not saying, Fields is a very smart quarterback, and he can operate as a quarterback. But sometimes, when guys get into trying to do this stuff, it gets them in trouble a little bit. Here, I think he does a good job coming back and becoming a passer again, creating a little bit of space for him to load up and throw. It's just well covered by the Vikings on the scramble drill. Fourth down, now they're really needing to score touchdowns, right? They're down by 2 touchdowns. Field goal doesn't really help you in this situation, so you go for it. Not great coverage by Mac Alexander in the corner here. You'd like to see him have less of a gap, right? Darnell Mooney gets separation, and if he's able to get both feet in bounds, that's a touchdown. If that's Adam Thielen on that play, that's a touchdown because Adam Thielen is magical at getting his feet down in bounds somehow. And then you could have the argument too that he really actually did get his shin down first, but the ball came out when it hit the ground, so it's not a catch. Turnover on downs. Cook. Now this is a solid run play. It's not a bad way to start the drive. Blocked up pretty good. Ham does a good job with the blitzer off the edge, giving Cook enough space to get upfield past it. Darisaw kicks a guy out. That's a pretty nice run play. I think everybody basically did their job. Gets 4 or 5 yards. Okay. Was this spot bad, or am I insane? Yeah, does it not look like Dalvin gets to the 14 on that play? And then we come back. And the ball's... I guess that's not a terrible spot. Okay. Ugh. Dalvin's pretty good at making guys miss in space. Normally you'd expect him to be able to beat this corner in space here. It's really, really, really nice open field tackle by that corner. Now, I think he still probably gets got by Ogletree and Smith, but it's still a 4 or 5 yard gain. You're at 3rd and 2. That's kind of where you want to be, right? Instead, you're at 3rd and 5 or whatever. So, great tackle by the corner. In here, key is KJ Osborne sealing that guy out. Stocker doesn't do great on the linebacker, but, clear read to kick it out for Dalvin. I mean, honestly, he's kind of got room up the middle here too with that double team, but He's kind of looking for the big play a little bit there, I think, and he almost gets it. Do we get called for holding? Who got the holding call? Tyler Conklin. Okay. So Conklin, I mean, yeah, I guess. Problem with Conklin, his arm's outside on the shoulder pad here. If his arm's inside on the chest plate, that's not holding. I think it's a pretty good block, but the arm being outside is what does him in. Now this gets into a little bit of frustration for me. I mean, on one hand, you're all the way backed up, and you've taken way more sacks in this game than you had previously. Like, your offensive line not pass protecting great. So and you're trying to run the clock and all that stuff, but it's 2nd and 12. Like, what are we doing running up the gut? And here, 3rd down, you drop back to pass. I mean, Hakeem Hicks, right? Once again, against Mason Cole, he was expecting a little bit of help from Garrett Bradbury. That's a little bit late, I think, because there's a man up over the center, and Bradbury's concerned about the blitz up over here, so he's late to get back to help Cole. But still, I mean, so Cole, I think, is expecting a bit of inside help, which is probably why he gets beat inside pretty easily here. But at least Kirk gets the ball out, right? If Kirk doesn't get this ball out, like, that's a nightmare, because now you're punting from the 1. And, like, your last punt, you just had blocked almost, I think. So, or no, 2 punt. You already had a punt that was almost blocked. And, I mean, it's not like Williams didn't get close on that one. Right? Like, oh boy. Oh, is that Miles Dorn? Is that who 46 is? Probably don't want him. Man, I mean, that's Damian Williams. That's like a running back. I guess running backs are probably not bad for that kind of thing because they know how to get low and physical and stuff, but Jesus, got absolutely blown up. He had an issue earlier, too, in pump protection, so that's something they need to shore up for sure. There you go, Nick Vigil. All right, another one, kind of contested catch. This is just double stick or whatever, 3x1 stick, 2 out routes here. Vigil needs to get outside. Does a good job. Not as impressive as the one Kendricks had, like, very early on in the game, where Kendricks was, like, here and got all the way over to that route by a tight end. But still, nice stuff. Way to get there. That's kind of a drop, but his contact helps Kmet drop the ball. Fields, ton of room to run. So fast. I mean, this is, like, Fields is so fast as a runner. There are, like, in the NFL right now, the players who can do this are Lamar, Justin Fields, and Kyler Murray. That's it. That is the list of players that can accelerate like this. So you get lack of discipline on the outside, give them the edge, right? Corner's got to play scramble drill. He's absolutely willing to throw the ball. Barr is all the way over here, helping because that's where coverage takes him, right? So you have nobody on the back end able to help get this. Is that Woods doesn't get over there, Mac Alexander, whoever that is. But like the acceleration here, right? If this is Kirk Cousins, not that Kirk is fast or anything, both, I think that's Mac Alexander and Anthony Barr collide on him like 4 yards past the line of scrimmage. But because Fields is so fast, he's untouched for 25 yards. It's nuts. I am not looking forward to playing against that for the foreseeable future, right? The Bears are an absolute nightmare. The Bears are an absolute disaster right now. Like, they're a complete mess of a football team. But if they get the correct supporting cast around Justin Fields, it's going to be very frustrating for a long time. Man. And again, yeah, right? At least their first round picks going to the Giants. So they get 2 unblocked blitzers, and that's another thing with Fields here. Hard to bring down. 2 unblocked guys converge on him, don't get him down. He gets out of it. Incomplete pass, but almost completed it. Should have completed it, probably. So, typical Mike Zimmer, double A-gap mug. Good to see them doing this with Barr in the game. 2 weeks ago against the Lions or whatever, refused to do any of this sort of stuff. Now, we were missing both Kendricks and Barr, so that makes a bit of a difference. But interesting. So typically, and this could be one of two things. Typically, the Vikings will blitz guys based on where the center is turning on the protection call. So if the center turns to the left here, you would expect Barr to blitz and Vigil to drop out. In this case, the center does turn towards Vigil, but Vigil keeps going, and the center does a very bad job of blocking him, which is definitely got to be frustrating if you're the Bears. But this running back, so the way the protection works is if they were to send both of them, the running back would take Barr. You have these 2 offensive linemen for these 2 defensive linemen. You have these 2 offensive linemen for these 2 defensive linemen. This tight end is, another option there. He's really hot if everybody's coming. It goes to the tight end. They don't have anybody to pick up Harrison Smith, so he's going to be a free rusher off the edge. Justin Fields is responsible for that. Vigil also just gets upfield faster than the center and beats the center. Now, maybe the center is able to push him past if Fields is able to step up into the pocket, but because Harrison Smith is coming off unblocked off the edge, he's not, and he has to drift back and turn around. But he does a fantastic job of doing that. So that's really nice. Almost a nice catch by Daz Newsome, the rookie out of North Carolina for the Bears. I think that's right. That sounds right. Oh, man. Absolute laser. Again, Michael Pierce. I mean, that's a nice rush by Michael Pierce, and he almost gets there, gets a hand up, gets it in Fields' face, and he just delivers a laser on target for a first down at Darnell-Mooney. Who busted the coverage? Somebody busted the coverage. Okay. I lied. It's a good route design. So this is, I don't know. I think Ohio is a shorter route concept, but it is an Ohio concept. Or if there's another name, if it's deeper, I don't know it. But essentially, Mackenzie Alexander's responsibility on this play is to carry. Okay, so it's a man match or that kind of coverage. So Cam Dantzler's responsibility here, and this looks like a quarters or a 2 high coverage, right? You've got 2 deep safeties. Cam Dantzler's responsibility here is called man on demand. That means that if this player's route goes vertical or outside, he plays man coverage on him. He runs a go route. That's a vertical route. Mackenzie Alexander's job is to carry what's called carry number 2. So if number 2 is running a vertical route, he carries that vertical up to the safety. In this case, your safety here, okay, you've got a blitz look here, but essentially Harrison Smith will be responsible to poach the back end to take anything vertical number 3 does, and somebody who's dropping from the line of scrimmage into coverage is responsible for what happens underneath. Now, what happens here, too, is this player is coming all the way across the line of scrimmage. So, Vigil is responsible for 98 underneath. I think that's Nick Vigil. And then this creates an undercall. So, that needs to push everybody here. Either Vigil needs to come off of this and Patrick Peterson takes 85, or I think what they do here is Mackenzie Alexander has to come off of it and take the under. So, that's an undercall. Mackenzie Alexander has to take it because he is like the Sam or the star or whatever you want to call him. He's like that backer. So he wants to push this vertical. The problem is what this pushes with a pretty strong vertical stem, and he thinks Woods is going to be able to take it, but it cuts outside and there's just nobody there. Dantzler does the right thing. He needs to take this vertical. He's a man on demand. Technically, Woods needs to drive on this, but you can't really expect him to do that in this scenario because he's capping the number 3 pre-snap kind of. They're doing late motion. He's getting out late to it. And if this guy comes across his face at all, like he's in a lot of trouble if he tries to drive on that out route. So that's just a good play design by the Bears to beat the Vikings coverage against the Blitz. More blitz looks. They're trying to confuse him up front. Good job protection. Unblocked blitzer resolved by the running back, right? So you have a blitzer here. He's a free runner. He's not blocked up by the protection scheme. Answer very fast, get to the flat. Good job, Fields. Good tackle. Harrison Smith, get there, limit the gain. 3 yards. So correct answer by Justin Fields. Good job driving the tackle by Harrison Smith. More Justin Fields athleticism. That right guard's struggling. I think that's James Daniels. Getting knocked back. I mean, that's happened 3 or 4 times to him, I think. Fields gets out, but linebacker here, Barr, forces him outside. Corner Dantzler comes up, limits the gain. That's what you're asking for. You know, he's athletic, but don't let him gash you with his legs. Limit the gains. And now it's 3rd and 3. Okay, this is a slot fade against the corner. Vikings are... So, you really want to throw this... So this works against cover 2. It essentially becomes a smash route where this is a curl and you're watching Patrick Peterson to see if he's sitting or if he's going back. He sits, you throw the ball, you miss the throw. You're just off on the throw. I do think that window's there. I think that if the ball is correctly placed, that's probably a touchdown, honestly. You know, it's a really tight window. It's a honey hole, right? Or the turkey hole, as John Gruden used to call it. What an awful image, by the way. But, you know, just misses the throw. Darnell Mooney's like 3 inches taller. That's probably a touchdown. Fourth down. Okay. Blitz look by the Vikings. Kind of similar concept, right? Vertical route. Out route by the wide receiver. I think that's a wide receiver. Isn't able to catch it. You know, drops to the pass. Good job by Mackenzie Alexander. Coverage, driving on the out route. Gets his hand in there, but I think mostly that's on the receiver not having good hands technique, probably. Let's take a look from this angle. No, that's pretty good hands technique, but he's just a little bit high for him. You know, all of these receivers on the Bears, it seems like, are very short, so a little bit high. Should catch it, but doesn't bring it down. Another Vikings drive, another Vikings 3 and out it'll be. Great. You hate to see it. What do we got here? Dalvin Cook, cut back, 90, making plays. Who is that? Angelo Blackson against Mason Cole. We see a theme. Honestly, maybe Dalvin presses us a bit too hard. Like, he's got a lot of space to cut back right now. And yeah, I don't know. So this is where maybe you want him to cut harder instead of getting vertical here. Because I think he really has the space to cut back. But plant harder and cut harder on that play maybe is the answer. I don't think it's actually that poorly blocked up. It's just he ends up making a nice play. Bradbury driven back here, it looks like. But let's take a look from this angle. He got a couple yards on him at the snap. It's just he started going backwards. Yeah, that's not too bad. Dalvin, I think you want to play this more and go up inside here. I think that's where Dalvin probably wants to go with it. That guy gets back around O'Neal. That was 90 again, apparently. So he's having a real nice game. Or was that Roquan? No, that was 90. And then, yeah, really athletic by Roquan to, like, Cole doesn't even get a hand on him. Not that, like, Cole, I think, does his job there. But just the way Cook cut it back created that space. Okay, really... Oh, yes. Excellent throw here by Kirk, right? So he needs to... Well, okay, so first of all, I think Ham is supposed to be in the flat, but he basically turns into a blocker because of the way the guy runs into him. But, like, this is not open. This is not open. This is not... Now it's open. Now you can throw the ball. Like, great anticipation by Kirk to understand Jefferson's outrunning 44, lobs the ball in there, gets it over 27, gives Jefferson the chance to catch the ball inbounds. He's not running full speed out of bounds and has to struggle to get both feet down. Kind of slows him down a little bit. Gets a first down. So that was nice. Honestly, zone bootlegs looked like they worked a couple times, and we had them a couple times in this game. I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't run them a bit more than we did. And that's something that was not working for us as a team at all for, like, the vast majority of the season. So, like, I kind of get it. But, you know, it was our bread and butter for, like, 2 years in a row. So... I'm not, like, the best with, you know, defensive line technique, offensive line technique, that sort of thing. I'm really interested to see what you want guys to do as an offensive lineman. Like, if they're flowing in a direction and a guy cuts back across your face. Because it's hard to... Like, you can't really grab their jersey and hold them because the refs are absolutely going to see that and they're going to throw a holding flag, right? So I'd be kind of interested to see, like, what the solution is to have more of an impact on 93 for Mason Cole there. That is Margus Hunt, by the way, apparently, 93. He was, like, super old coming in the league, so he must be, like, in his 30s now. This one, it looks like there's a lot of room there, and then doesn't get very far. Let's look at the other angle. Cook's feet basically got tripped up by the pile, is what it looks like. So everybody, they're a little bit too close together. Did Ezra lose his? No, he didn't. Okay, that's good. But Ezra goes down, feet tangled up. Right there. He clips the back of Darasaw's heel right there. And that trips him up. And then that trips Bradbury up. And then that trips Dalvin Cook up. Otherwise, there was a lot of room on that run. So that was pretty well blocked. It was just, footwork getting on top of each other a little bit tight in the spaces there. Now, this is where it's like, come on, guys. I guess I shouldn't say that. They were up by 14 points, so whatever. You're just trying to get a first down and run it. If you get a first down, you run the clock out, right? But you keep the clock running, it goes to the 2-minute warning. You get the ball back, period, you've won the game. So whatever, just run the ball. Who got beat here? Sorry. Who? Looks like a safety unblocked just coming in. So let's take a look at this. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blockers. They have 8 guys in the box. 27, I don't really count. So you should have a head on the hat. This guy attacks vertically immediately. Backside, you have 3 blockers for 2 guys. You do want Ham going up to the linebacker at the second level. He's going to be an unblocked guy because of the way that... So, the problem for the Vikings have is they're overloaded. The Bears are overloaded to the left side, right? They would need to flip this run somehow to run it to the right for them to really have numbers on this play, which they don't, and they don't have them, and they don't get a first down. But, again, this is the last offensive play of the game by the Vikings. If they get a first down, the game's over. Let's go back and watch Cole. Cole does... Okay, so this is kind of what I was just talking about, because Cole is trying to move to his left, and this is what's called backdooring by the defensive lineman. I think this is actually okay because this is an outside zone run, and at this point, if you're Cole, all you want to do is get him upfield and make him run past Dalvin Cook. Okay, Dalvin Cook's starting to the left. If he backdoors you, like he does on this play, the one thing you don't want is to get a holding call against you. And here he kind of grabs the jersey, turns him around. You might be able to call holding on that. But really, at this point, you just want to push him upfield past you. And if this defensive back isn't there, that's exactly what happens for Mason Cole. So that's okay. That's acceptable as a blocker. Because it's pretty much impossible to ask him to... What they wanted to do is what's called reach him, right? So his hat right now is on his right shoulder, right? He needs to get over his head to his left shoulder. So he needs to move left immediately at the snap. And what Hunt is going to do is come back the other direction. It's an impossible ask for him to get... With those two things in mind, it's an impossible ask for him to block him fully. All he needs to do is get him upfield past Dalvin Cook, and I think he does that effectively on that play. So I think that's a fine block by Mason Cole in that scenario. Now, obviously, in the grand scheme of the game, he wasn't great in general. But in that instance, I wouldn't really ding him for that. The only thing is, if they throw a holding flag on that play, then that's a bad thing by Mason Cole. Here it is it's basically Barry's I'm going to boot it into space and get it. Yeah. I think they could probably throw a holding flag on that play too, but because the hold is within the numbers, if it's in between the numbers and not on the shoulders or something like that, they're a lot less likely to throw holding flags as well. You can hold guys if it's kind of hard to see because of the, people's bodies are in the way. But, like, if you had, like, a microscope where you could see a pass blocker up, the offensive lineman inside the shoulders is grabbing on and holding the players' jerseys. That's just how blocking is taught. Let's see. That's... no. See... So, okay, this is 2-minute drill, right? So, check the ball down, whatever. More yards, you would like to see Barr and that's Alexander converge on that and tackle him shorter. Still, it's a 2-minute drill, you're up by 14, like, this game's basically over, right? So, like to see a quicker get to the tackle, but whatever. Side over the middle. I would, like, for Fields, you'd like to see him check it down to the outside rather than check it down over the ball because you save time, right, by going outside and getting out of bounds. But you get a first down. The first play, that's all there was for a check down. So, like, if I go back to this one, right, that's all there is. Everything else is vertical, right? There is no other check down option. So going over the middle there is fine. Here, you essentially have 2 in the flat and 1 over the ball. And I would go to the ones in the flat, right? Get out of bounds. Get the clock stopped. Like, and again, the Vikings are up by, like, 14 points, and this is desperation 2-minute drill, false start, 10-second runoff. So, like, 10 yards here in the passing game. Like, who cares? Here, again, this is a tackle him in bounds, and you're good to go situation. So that's a plus. Good job by Dantzler keeping the ball in bounds, clock running. Second down. Now here's a throw to the flat, and it is dropped. Jeez. Gotta do better than that, Bears guy. Khalil Herbert. This is going to get out of bounds, but you'd rather Dantzler cover that 7, right, than the flat route. So, like, it's all right. Again, I mean, as a defense, like, you're trying to not allow a touchdown here is basically all you're trying to do. So, a little bit, nah, that's fine. I mean, it was on time. So Fields gets the ball out. I guess it's just based on where pressure was coming. Interesting, he tried to scramble right when literally all of his receivers were over to the left. So, not really sure the thought process there, but I think it's just because of where everybody was. Again, over the middle, clock running, rally tackle, who cares? And then get the ball, spike it. Yay. Okay, now you're just playing pure prevent defense. Everybody's in the roof. There were 5 seconds left on the clock after the spike. If they get the ball, they get 1 second left or whatever when they get out of bounds. Again, pure prevent defense. The game's over here. Obviously, it's like a pride thing to not allow a touchdown. Fields scrambles out of the pocket. Probably doesn't need to, honestly, but I think he just wants to get over to the left to give himself better room to throw. Throw is into the end zone. Harrison Smith he needs to wall off the inside, so when that breaks outside, like, I don't really blame him too much on that. You'd like to see somebody come back to the ball and be able, maybe Woods be able to get that. I think it is interesting that the catch rule applies to where he first gains. I didn't realize this, and I wasn't sure. It apparently applies to where he first gains possession of the ball, and then it counts as forward progress, even if he hasn't established, that he was down, or that it is actually a catch, right? Because it's not established as an actual catch until his feet hit the ground. But because he firmly grasped the ball while it was over the air in the end zone, it still counts. But he definitely caught the ball prior to in the end zone. So that is, by the rule book, a touchdown. It's just kind of an interesting quirk of the rules. But thanks for hanging out, watching this. It was fun to go through it. Kind of